Welcome back. Yeah, still not feeling well, and I almost forgot to put the video up today. But some stuff I've worked on. We're going to call this spicing up those book pages. And yes, there are some book pages in here. But I also use mop-up pages. I'm going to show you how I do my dyeing. Every one of us has a spice shelf. And spices get old and you can't cook with them, and we just toss them in the trash. And I said, no, I'm not going to toss them in the trash. I'm going to see what I can do with them. The ones you see here are done with red pepper flakes. My husband loves red pepper flakes, and I have got bottles and bottles of that stuff. So, sort of was surprised about the color. That was notebook paper. You could, but I wasn't expecting this, to be quite honest. This is sort of some colors that I was like going, huh, okay. Different results. I'd folded, as you can see, to see what I could get there. That one. Like I said, again, this is red pepper flakes, and I will talk to you how I did that. Oh, I'll have to share that in a later video. I did a little experimenting by accident. Threw some junk mail in there, but here's my book, my dictionary pages. That one you can see the edging. This is probably boring for most of you, and I'm sorry. You get different ones. I love the white mop-up pages I have and how they look. I don't know. I just like that organic look around the edges. And here we go. There's that. The way I do these is I literally take whatever I'm using for dyeing, put it in some kind of container with 1 cup of water. And that went through 1 cup of water, and really, I was generous. I could have used less, but those all came from 1 cup of water. And I had them done in less than 10 minutes. When I say a container, I'm going to show you how I do it. Now, don't ask me why. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I haven't even dyed any papers with this yet. But I did ginger powder. For some reason, we had 2 containers of ginger powder in our spice thing. And we can't do any more. So I'll show you how I mix mine up. But here is my solution. There's the water that I used in a container of that. And we're going to see what it does. First thing I do is I take a sheet of paper. And this is an old tray. And I lay it down because that's going to be a mop-up paper. So all that's over to my left. And I have no idea if this is going to give good color or not. I love the color. To me, this looks like a rust color. Can you imagine getting rust without having to rust things in the length of time that it takes? I don't know. And when I set a paper down that I've dyed, what I do is put another dry sheet right on top of it. That's how I do mine. So I'm just going to do a few book pages, just because my videos are supposed to be about book pages. And of course, when you have your water out, what do? You have to dye all other things too. So I'm just going to dye a few things of paper to see how the white paper reacts. And the same thing I told you I'm doing this over to the left, just quickly. Now, the area you see right here on my desk, with exception of where I've got that tray sitting over to the left, this is it. This is all I use when I dye my papers. People say spread it all over the yard, spread it all over the house, and I get a little confused. I'm like, I've never used more than this small area when I dye papers, but this is the method that I use. Now, I am going to, ooh, that's a pretty color. Looks to me like this won't be more rust. I've also got some lace pieces and different things I'm going to lay on top of them. And Usually what that does, that will dye my pieces. Then again, like I did, I put my mopping sheet or blotter, I guess the technical term would be a blotter paper, over top of everyone. And the great thing is your blotter papers become dyed too. So that's pretty neat. Again, I'm putting some lace in here. And again, I apologize. My dog is deciding. And there's a ball game on, and my husband's watching a ball game in the background. And whenever I have to do things, I refuse to ask my family to stop doing their lives, because this is my choice, not theirs. So if you hear things, you just let it go. If I end up having a fuss at the dog, please excuse me, because I will fuss at him if he needs it. Oh, stop it. I rescued, or through someone that needed to rehome him, no fault their own, a Maltese, and I've never had a Maltese before. All I can say is they are an interesting dog. He's a stinkerbit. And yes, he's named Poe after Edgar Allan Poe. My husband named him. So, all right. Now I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to set this back over to the left. Yeah, this looks gross. This is an old piece of pajamas that needed thrown away. You know, that was no good anymore. When I say I put things in a solution, this is what I do. I put my spices or whatever I'm using in a container, let it set. And then I let it set, marinate, whatever. If you chose to want to boil yours and then go from there, feel free to. And yes, I needed more water considering this was powder. But, hey, I don't care. I drop it down in. Usually when it's the first time with a lot of water, you don't have to. I drop it down in my little area there. Scoop this over. And that's what I do. I just, remember, if anybody's ever done any old canning and different things like that, you know. There you go. That's an old cheap styrofoam bowl. And you just squeeze it out. And that's how I get my colored water, but none of the gunk. If you want the gunk, use the gunk. You can always knock it off afterwards. And see, there it goes. And that can be thrown away or put back in there to try to get some more color. But I'm not going to determine whether I want to get more color or not until I see if I like the color from this. Because this is brand new for me. I've never used ginger powder. But that is how I dye my papers. No matter what I'm doing, if I'm using Easter egg dye, if I'm using paint to color my water, I'm using food coloring, I'm using RIT dye, whatever. This is the method that I use all the time. I just dip, move, put my blotters in between. Sorry, guys. I was pulling my sleeves up and hit the camera. Just come along for the thing. But we'll see what colors these come out to be. Oh, now the back side of that one looks pretty cool. And again, we don't know what colors they're going to be until we're done. Everyone knows that, don't we? But anyway, there you go. There's my day 13 book pages, dyeing them to make them useful. See you all later.